liquid fertilizer or granular fertilizer?
No comment. I don't know how to answer that one.
Got to pick one.
If I had to pick one,
Yeah. Welcome to the Lawns and Life podcast, where DIYers go to get the tips and advice they need to have a great looking lawn. Well, hey there, lawn lovers. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Lawns and Life podcast, where we dive deep into the world of DIY lawn care. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned veteran looking to polish your skills, we have got something for everyone. In each episode, I break down simple, easy to understand topics that will empower you to achieve your dream lawn. My name is Devin, and I am the DIY Lawn Coach. Thank you so much for coming back for another week. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys have had an amazing week. Just to kind of tell you what we're going to get into with this episode, as I alluded to last week, I was able to get my second guest on the podcast, and it's Pete with GCI Turf, who is an amazing person, a God-fearing Christian, family man, hardworking, and brings a wealth of knowledge, especially to us DIYers. Of course, you know, I don't know how many companies Pete is running now. I think he's up to like 4 or 5 probably. But he brings a lot of knowledge, and it was awesome to get to sit down with him and kind of pick his brain. We talked about everything from DIY lawn care to his new fertilizers that he's coming out with. I asked him to tell a story about a time when he was afraid and how he leaned on his faith to help kind of get him through that. And he offers some words of encouragement to you. So if it's something that maybe you're going through, that, you know, you're at a fearful time in your life, you know, the advice that he wants to give you, which I think is fantastic. So I had a great conversation with Pete. Again, so appreciative that he was able to come on. But before we do that, before I play that episode for you guys, we're going to get into this week's Mindful Moment.
It can be hard to slow down and notice things in a busy world. Mindful Moments is where we pause for a moment to reflect on the here and now. After all, life is happening now. We simply need to take time to notice. These small yet profound experiences remind us that life is not about the destination, but the journey we take to get there.
So this week's Mindful Moment is inspired by Pete, and it's something he kind of talks about in the podcast, and I just wanted to take an extra minute and just kind of tell you guys how I feel about it. He'll tell you how he feels about it, but you know, those men and women that give the ultimate sacrifice for, you know, the protection of our freedoms, or to serve and protect the fire, the police, and those people that are people of service, men and women. I just want to take a second in today's mindful moment and just say thank you. I don't know every, you know, man and woman, like Pete will say in the interview. I don't know every man or woman who's, you know, in the service either. So this is just my small way of saying thank you. And, you know, the fact that someone would leave their family, you know, and go out into the world, or go across the world, the other side of the world, to defend, you know, the freedoms that we have. We live in the greatest country in the world. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. We are not perfect. But that's what makes this country so great. And I am extremely thankful for those that, you know, paved the way for me to be able to sit in front of a camera and talk about grass, get out into my lawn, and be able to worship anyone, you know, anything that I want to worship, whatever you're free to worship. You know, we have that freedom in this country, and I am so thankful for every man and woman who sacrifices their body, sacrifices their life, their family, their freedoms to be able to defend that. And Pete will kind of give his thoughts about it. But as far as the mindful moment for this week, I would encourage you guys to just stop for a second. And if you see someone who's got on a veteran's hat, or a police officer, or, someone in EMS, or a retired, someone in the military, whatever branch, just say thank you. You don't have to wait for, Labor Day or Memorial Day or Veterans Day to thank them. They're working rain, sun, shine. And I'm so thankful for everything that they do for me and my family. And so that's this week's mindful moment. So as I mentioned, I was able to get Pete with GCI Turf on the podcast this week, and it was incredible. Again, Pete is such a wealth of knowledge. As I mentioned, I mean, he's a God-fearing family man, has an incredible work ethic and determination. But I will tell you, Pete does have a very weird side. So I can't wait you guys to listen to the interview. So I'm going to play it for you guys to listen to, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. So here's Pete with GCI Turf. Most of the time when I have a podcast, I usually have to introduce my guest. And obviously today, my guest needs no introduction. It's Pete with GCI Turf. Pete, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well, other than cold.
That's right. So if you guys don't know, Pete and I live about an hour and a half away from each other, and we are currently experiencing some of the coldest weather of the season. I think today, Pete, did you get snow where you were today?
Yeah, we got it snowed pretty hard for about 2 hours, but the ground temps were a little bit high, so it really didn't stick on the roads much. And then by nightfall, it was all melted, but we probably got maybe an inch on the grass areas. And of course, most of that's almost gone now.
Yes. And then, so the high today was like 38 degrees here, lows getting down into the mid 20s. And then later in the week, I think I may not even get above freezing, Thursday, Friday of this week.
I think we're 23 tonight, and then 19. We got one morning, it's going to be 19 degrees.
So what does that do to
havoc on a golf game, man?
I see you. So for Christmas, I think you got one of those zip up things for a golf cart. Did I see that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's going to help.
A big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. So I'll be honest. I have not a list of questions, but I have some topics that I want to cover with you while I've got you with me. But before we begin, there's something that I have to bring up, and I haven't mentioned this to you, but I do follow you on social media on Instagram, and we just wrapped up Christmas and Thanksgiving, and you made a post on Instagram, and I know you're going to remember this in just a second. So it was Thanksgiving, and so you don't know this, but I'm a chef. I went to culinary school. I've got a 2-year culinary degree, and that's what I do for a living. For my 9 to 5 is I'm a chef, and so
hungry, I know where to come.
That's you're, absolutely. I can cook a mean steak, but you made a post on Thanksgiving, and so being a chef, there are 2 types of people in this world. There are people that let their food touch, and there are people who don't let their food touch.
There you go. You're talking about that one?
Yeah, that's it. Did you knew where this was going, didn't you?
Well, when you said food and Thanksgiving, I kind of put the 2 together.
So can you explain that to people? Because you're a Southern boy. I mean, we are biscuits and gravy, country fried steak and gravy, like mix it all up. Where did that come from?
My wife is like it. Everybody in my family is like it. I'm the only weird one. And I don't know, man. I've just done that my entire life. Like the edges of bread, I cut the edges of loaf bread off. It's just a weird thing I do. When I'm eating like a Thanksgiving meal, and I'm eating baked beans, I want to taste the baked beans. I don't want to taste my potatoes. And another
Right.
weird thing I do is I always eat the worst thing first and finish up with my favorite thing. So
That's probably from your childhood, if I had
yeah,
to, if I
so
had
if
to
the mashed
guess.
potatoes are the favorite thing on the plate, I always finish up with that. So I know it's weird and wonky and probably immature, but it's just the way I eat. Dude, when I go to the Japanese restaurant where they cook in front of you, the
Yeah.
hibachi,
Yeah.
I get two extra plates so that when he puts the food on the plate, he separates it out. It's weird, man. I'm
That's
telling you,
weird.
I'm
That's
strange.
weird. So my wife is that way. So one year for Christmas, I got her one of those cafeteria trays that
Mm-hmm.
like you can compartmentalize everything. It's kind of a joke, but she's weird. Like she does not like her food to touch. And so when I saw that post, I said, honey, you got to come see this. There's another person just like you who don't like their food to touch.
There's a handful of crazies out there.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I just needed to clear that up because I was, I saw that and I saw that and I was like, I got to find out the reason. So we were before we jumped on here, Pete. We were talking about grass seed. I was telling you about my lawn and how I use your Spreader Elite grass seed, and I attribute a lot of my lawn and how it looks to the quality of grass seed. And so, something that I want to kind of pick your brain about is now whether it's GCI Turf or anybody else's grass seed. Can you talk for a second about why buying quality grass seed is so important? And for somebody who's going to be getting into lawn care, why can't I just go to Home Depot and just buy something off the shelf? Or can you tell us a little bit about why quality is so important?
Yeah, well, if you buy poor quality gasoline and put it in your car's not going to run as good. There's a million things you can come up with if you buy poor, low quality ingredients and put them in your food that you cook for your clients. They're going to get a poor meal. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
if you're going to spend money on grass seed and then invest time, which is a big deal, and you're going to invest all this other money in your yard going throughout the entire season with fertilizer and pre-emergent and fungicide and gas in the mower and buying a nice mower, why not just start off with a high quality grass seed?
So how did you pick? I mean, the Spreader Elite. Like, how did you pick those varieties, and why pick those varieties? Like, what led you to pick those and those blends?
Well, I always go to the NTEP trial and look and see who's top performers, and then I also go by my two eyeballs and what performs well. And of course, I'm speaking about my location, where
Mm-hmm.
I'm at, where we get hot and humid, muggy and nasty in the summer, and we have the potential to get cold. Different varieties are going to perform differently under those circumstances. And so it's kind of a combination of, look and see what the papers say on the NTEP trials, and then I'll look and see what my results are here and kind of put them together and hand pick some varieties that I think will do well. And the Spreader Elite's been a really big hit with a lot of people. I mean, they like it better than I got a lot of people that like it better than my Mountain View seed bag. That they're like A list, blue tag, all that kind of stuff. Supposed to be best of the best, top of the top. But I got people that buy the Spreader Elite over that day in and day out.
So you're talking the Mountain View seed? Is that just the regular turf type tall fescue? Is
Yeah,
that
that's just the turf type tall fescue. It's got I can't remember what the varieties are, but they're like A list, blue tag, best of the best on the market. According to NTEP trials, and even with
so? The
that,
Spreader Elite is not Mountain View seed. It's
no, the Spreader Elite is not. Um, Let me think a minute. I don't think the Spreader Elite are the Mountain View seed varieties. But like I said, people will switch and buy the Mountain View stuff one year, and then go right back to the Spreader Elite. I get those stories all the time. So it's a strong mix of seed for sure.
and like you've said this in your other videos, like it doesn't spread like Kentucky bluegrass. It certainly doesn't spread like Bermuda grass, but it does spread. I've got some natural areas, and you'll see it pop up, and
Yep.
it's actually really cool to see. And if you, we deal with fungus here in North Carolina. It gets hot, humid, and so it's really nice to have where it will thicken. I mean, come fall time when you're really pushing that fertilizer, I mean, it will self repair, which
Oh,
is
absolutely will. Like you said, it's not like a Bermuda or bluegrass, but for any fescue to spread is amazing because it's just not a spreader type plant by nature. And I guess where they've you know done the crossbreeding and all that kind of stuff, whatever it is those guys do, they've made it to where fescues will spread some, and it's really nice to have a fescue that'll crawl a little bit and fill in and a little self repair here and there.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're coming up on springtime, and a lot of things that I'm seeing on my channel, questions that I get right now are talking about spring seeding. Should I seed in the spring? And it's more like, hey, I seeded in the fall, and I've got some bare spots. What do, if that were me, if Devin seeded in the fall and he's got some bare spots and we're talking fescue, what would your advice be to me going into spring? Should I put down a pre-emergent? Should I what should I do?
It depends on how big the areas are, as to how I would advise. If you have a handful of little small spots here and there, put the dang pre-emergent down and just try to not hit those little small areas, and then spot seed. If you have 50% of your yard's really good grass and 50% needs overseeding, just put the pre-emergent down on 50% of it, and then go and do the seeding on the other half. Pre-emergent grass seed typically don't play along well together, but there are times that you there's nothing in the world you can do. If you had bad luck in the fall, you had bad luck in the fall, or if you're starting your lawn care journey, you're just starting it, and why
Yep.
wait? You know what I mean?
Yep. So nothing nobody says you have to put pre-emergent all over your entire lawn, right? You could do half of your lawn.
There are no laws or there are no lawn care rules that say you have to put down. It's just a good basic practice to do so to limit crabgrass.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the things that makes lawn care so challenging because there are few hard and fast rules. And so a lot of it is when you're trying to, tell somebody what they need to do in their lawn, there's so many variables and everybody's got a different opinion, and there's multiple ways to skin a cat, and
Well, that's what I've tried to do with YouTube for 7 years is show people that there's more than one way to skin this cat. I mean, I went through several seasons on my yard with YouTube intentionally growing the grass a different way. Went all granular one year, all slow release one year, all
yeah,
liquid one year. Two, maybe 3 years, I didn't even put a pre-emergent down, just to show everybody that you know you have to figure out what works best for your area and your yard. And then, of course, at some point in time, it does become repeatable. You know, Lawn care is one of the most repetitious things you'll ever do in your life, because you're going to mow the grass, you're going to fertilize it, you're going to water it, mow, fertilize, water, It's ongoing. And when you stop that repetition, then you start to see a slow decline. So it's all about getting the program dialed in for your neck of the woods and your budget. That's a big deal. How much money you want to spend on your grass, and roll with it.
yeah, and of course, then the keyboard warriors come out when Pete says don't do this or Pete says do that. That's when the keyboard warriors come out and they tell you what you're doing wrong and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
and I tell them you can go look at the thousands of acres of turf we go to. So,
that's right. That's right.
that's when the human. I feel like personally the human side of things kicks in gears. I'm right and you're wrong,
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
well, maybe you might be in your mind, but I've been doing it this other way for years, and it works the other way as well. And I'm
What
not,
is it? You show pictures of your hands, right? You're like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is my
There's my resume
resume right
right
here.
there.
Yeah, I
But
love that.
you'll never get me saying I'm right about something because I'm
Right.
not right all the time. But I will say, there's more ways to do lawn care than just A, B, C, D.
You are exactly right. So you come from the professional world, and you do venture over to the DIY side, and I want you to talk for a second about the most valuable resource that all humans have is our time. All
Hmm.
right, it's the one thing. God only gave you so much, and when your time's up, it's up, and you can't get any more of it. So that's why I say it's the most valuable
Hmm.
thing on the face of the
Yeah,
planet.
you in a roundabout way you can buy time, but you can't buy more than 24 hours of time. You know what I'm saying? So it is limited and it is extremely valuable. Yeah.
So talk about some things that DIYers can do to buy back some of that time, because that's whether it's for me. An example for me would be like spraying, putting multiple applications in a tank sprayer, broadcast spraying that across my lawn, right? Like that. That's
Mhm.
helping me buy back some of my time. So,
Mhm.
what are some other ways? I mean, because in the professional world, it is all about efficiency. It's,
Mhm.
when it comes to cutting grass, it's how many lawns can you get done? How efficient can I be? And money is made for you on the professional side by saving time and being as efficient as possible.
Mhm.
Well, on the DIY side, right? Like, yeah, we only have one lawn to take care of, but what are some other what are some things that we can be doing, or things that we need to think about to help buy back some of our time, or save time, or like what can we be doing?
Well, and for me personally, my company specifically, we have X amount of guys, and we do more properties per man than a lot of the companies around here. And the way that I'm able to do that is with equipment. It ain't no secret. I'm an equipment guru, and I
Hmm.
spend my money on equipment because equipment makes me way more efficient, way more, especially if you have the right equipment. So I would say to the DIYer to first get your equipment right for sure, based on the type of lawn care program that you're running, and obviously the type of grass that you have. Meaning, Bermuda. If you're looking to uh, run a real high end Bermuda and cut it short and tight like a golf course, you're going to want to invest money in a reel mower. And don't just get any reel mower. Go on and spend some money and get you a nice reel mower. It's going to last you a long time, and that you can get done cutting the grass quicker. Sprayers. That was the whole reason I come out with my spray buddy and cart buddy line, is to
Yep.
save homeowners time. So instead of spraying 5 times with a backpack, they can fill up one time and spray. And it's just
Yep.
a major, massive time savings. Of course, you pay for it, but
Yep.
your question was, how do you buy time?
I understand. Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
how you buy it.
And I think another side of that too is you got to take care of it. I've got a 15-year-old son who I am trying to pound it in his head that if you're gonna buy something nice, take care of it,
Hmm.
and it will take care of you. It's something that my dad taught me a really long time ago, and I think that's kind of what you're saying is, if you're gonna buy a really nice mower, take care of it so that it lasts a long time. It'll take care of you. It'll cut your time, and I know that's one thing that is really important about why you choose the products that you choose. Like when you're building that sprayer, like you didn't just buy the cheapest thing possible. You bought the piece of equipment that was going to last a long time, and
Hmm.
then you just take care of it, and it'll last you a long time.
Yeah, even when I wasn't in a better financial position, like when we first started our company, and I was broke basically, I would still I would still fight and scratch and claw to save money to buy the best thing I could buy because I'm a buy once cry once guy.
Yep.
That kind of dude, and I'd a whole lot rather spend money on something quality and it lasts me a long time and save me time and give me less
Yep.
trouble and all the positives that go with that versus buying something junky and having
Mm-hmm.
to work on it all the time or it breaks
Yep.
down in the middle of a job or whatever.
I don't think that's just lawn of advice, right? Like I think that relates to life as well. It's
Oh
not, you whether it's cars or houses or hot water heaters or
yeah,
dishwashers,
yeah,
right? Like it's
yeah. You spend $100 more and get the much more high quality dishwasher. Why not do it if it's going to save you time and money down the road?
and that goes right back to what we were talking about with grass seed. I mean, sure, you could go to Home Depot and buy a cheap grass seed, but you're going to have to pay more for fertilizer to help keep it green, and you're going to have to probably water it more because it doesn't have the root
And more than
structure.
likely spend more time and money on herbicides, keeping the weeds out of it, that
That's right.
in the
Yep.
bag when you bought it. So,
That's right.
it is what it is.
It's funny because people want to save money, right? You want to save money, but you got to spend money to save money. I know it sounds counterintuitive,
Hmm.
but it's true. Yep.
What's that old saying? You got to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
Whew. Boy, I know
Yep.
that's a fact. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. And going into spring, I'm sure you're going to be buying a whole bunch of stuff for your business, right? Like chemicals. I'm sure you're buying all that right now. So you're
Yep.
spending a bunch of money so that when that spring pops, you can start making money, right? You got to spend
You're
money
right,
to make
bro.
money.
That's right.
And you're the boss, so you got to remind yourself of that.
Yep. All the time.
So something that I know is really important to you is the military and people who are actively in service, whether it's firefighters or policemen. And I know that's something really important to you. And I think is your brother in law enforcement? He's a state trooper, I
Yep.
believe.
Highway Patrol and was a Marine.
Yeah. So can you talk about why is that so important to you? Why what's your why behind the military? Like why is that so important?
Well, if you go back and look at the history of the United States, you know, men and women fought and died and left this earth to be free people. And that has continued on up until present day. And, when you got a man or a woman that's willing to give their life and risk their life so that not only they can be free, but people they don't even know. I mean, I don't know every Marine. I don't know every person in the Army, but and they don't know me either. But yet they're out there putting their life on the line, risking. And then when you drop down a level to local law enforcement, I don't know all the highway patrolmen. I don't know all the troopers, and they don't know
Yeah.
me. But they are willing to serve people like me and you and my wife and my kids, just so we can live a free, safe life. And I mean, I take it literally, and I take it very personal. And I know a lot of the times law enforcement and military get a bad rap, and I realize they're bad officers and bad
That's
military.
right. Yeah.
That boils down to the human. The human might not be the greatest person ever, but in general, overall, these folks have goodwill toward other people, and they go out and serve us, and I'm humbled by it and grateful for it, and every chance I get to give them a shout out or a thank you or during the day it goes by when I go in a store or wherever, and if I see law enforcement, the very least I can do is buy their meal, and
Yep.
you'll see the proud veteran hat. I'm always going up shaking their hand. Thank you. If I see a cop on the street or whatever, I'm gonna go up and shake his hand, pat his back, tell him thank you. I'm I'm grateful to be a free person in a free country, and it's because of those men and women, and
Yep.
that means a lot to me.
And when there's a building on fire and everybody's running out of it, there's a select few that want to run in it and try to save somebody. Or
Ain't that the truth? And God didn't wire me like that.
me either.
If I
Me either.
had to do it, if my home was on fire, I'd run in and pull my family out. I wouldn't even question. If my neighbor's home was on fire, I'd run in and pull them out. But for firemen and EMS to go
For
in,
somebody you don't even
they
know.
don't even know. I mean, that's a big deal, man.
Yep.
It's a big deal.
Or, you get into a car accident and they turn on those lights and they're risking their life to go through those intersections and get to you to try to save your life. Or maybe it's not even life threatening. But they're still risking their life to get to you or pull you out, and they don't even know you, and
Yeah. I mean, I don't have to put a bulletproof vest on to go to work. But
Yep.
the people that do, they got my full respect and my full
Yeah.
support.
I just wanted to call that out because I know that that's something really important to you, and and it is your brother that's in North Carolina Highway Patrol, right? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How long has he been on the Highway Patrol?
I want to say he's going on 11 years, maybe something like that.
Okay. Okay. It's a long time. A long time. I'm sure he's seen a lot. I've got a lot of friends who are in law enforcement, sheriff's deputies, and sometimes their job seems like it'd be a lot of fun, but then other times, no.
Other times, I'm sure it's not.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Dealing with some of the riffraff that they have to deal with, that's for
that's
sure.
right.
So that kind of leads me into, like we're talking about law enforcement and your why behind what you do. So what is Pete's why? Why does Pete get up in the morning and go to work, and like why? What's your why? What's Pete's why?
My first why is to please my Lord and my Savior and my King Jesus. I am a believer in the gospel, and I'm sold out to the cross. And I'm first and foremost, I do my work, my job, my life to honor and glorify Him. And anybody that's in my path, I want them to know about the Lord as well. The second reason I get up and go to work is because I got I got four reasons in there. I got four reasons in there. My wife and my three kids
Yeah.
that um, you know, I was created a man, and my role is to supply, and that's what I do. I go out and work and feed my family, and of course I like to eat myself. You know what I mean?
I understand. Yeah. Yep. So you mentioned your faith, and I'm a man of faith as well. I believe we just came out of Christmas, and last week's podcast. So I do a segment on my podcast beat called Mindful Moments, and it's just every week. It's just a segment in my podcast where I like to put my feet on the ground and just kind of reflect on what's going on, right? And it's just being mindful about who we are, what we're doing, being intentional. And last week I was talking about Christmas, and everybody. There's one aspect of Christmas that I don't like, and it's the consumption side of Christmas. It's there's nothing wrong with the presents, and there's nothing wrong with giving and receiving presents, but I think that it's important that we understand that the reason why we celebrate Christmas is the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who then died for us so that we could then have eternal life. And so I think it's just everybody gets kind of wrapped up in all the commercials and the buying and all that stuff. And so I just last week wanted to take a second and just understand that that's not what's important. What's important is that baby who was born in a manger, who was the lamb of who was the lamb who saved the world. So
That's right.
so I thought that was good. So for the guy that is in who's got a lawn care service, taking care of his lawn, and he's he's thinking, okay, spring's gonna be coming. I want to get into lawn care. This is gonna be my year, 2025. I want to get into lawn care. Like, how do you start? Where do you begin? Like, because the hardest part of running any race is just starting. So how do I start? Like, obviously you got to buy equipment, right? You got to have a mower and you got to have all that stuff. But like, where do you start?
Well, I think like if you're playing around the golf, typically you're going to start on the first hole. And the first hole in lawn care is, for me, is you got to know the grass type you have. Or you need to know the grass type you want based on where you live in the country. I'm dead in the middle of the transition zone, so I could easily have a fescue yard, or I could easily have Bermuda yard or zoysia. Those are pretty much the prominent grass types here. So, that's step one is if you're going to work with the yard that you have, you need to know the grass type that you have so you know how to take care of it. And then after that, then, you kind of get into the equipment side of things and what kind of mower you want, what kind of stick edger, trimmer, blower you want. And of course, all stick edgers and trimmers are kind of a dime a dozen, but if you're living on a property that's got a bunch of leaves, maybe you want to invest in a bigger backpack blower, more of a commercial style backpack blower. And then, study up on the grass type and learn when to feed it and how much water it likes and when to mow it and when not to mow it. That's a big struggle here is people, when it gets hot and dry in the summer, they like to keep cutting their grass, and I'm screaming at them at the top of my lungs, stop mowing because you're doing more damage than you are good.
Yep.
So knowing the grass type you have or knowing the grass type that you want, that's hands down the first step.
Yeah. You got to know what game you're going to play, right? Like if you are we playing are we playing chess? Are we playing checkers? Are we playing Monopoly, right? You got to know.
If you don't play baseball, you don't go buy a basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think with YouTube and everything else, I think you just dive in and become become a sponge, right? Like trying to soak up all the knowledge of understanding of how do I take care of this thing, right? And then, it starts with mowing tall and when to water, and then you start venturing into, maybe fungicides or different types of fertilizer or whatever
It
it
kind of
is.
goes
But
back to what you said earlier. Don't come and watch me and grow it just like I do. Don't come and watch you and grow it like you do. Go watch 7 or 8 different people. Go to
Yep.
your local ag agency, and go to the local college website. If you got an ag or turf website, college is close by to you. Like we have NC State here. If you're in North Carolina, go to NC State website, see what they recommend. Cross-reference that with what I'm telling you. Cross-reference that with what you're telling you. And then
I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to NC State for help, asking questions, helping me, because I don't know everything. And when I get a fungus, I'm like, what is it? I don't know. I don't know what this thing is. And so either I'll reach out to a buddy who's in the business, or I can take a picture of it and email to the turf pathologist at NC State. And within 3 or 4 days, he responds back. And I mean, and they're nerds. They love them.
yep,
I don't want to offend anybody, but they that's what they love. They
they
love doing it.
eat and sleep turf grass.
Yeah.
They're highly, highly knowledgeable when you get into these colleges, especially when it's a college that specializes in turf. They're going to have experts there that can definitely help guide you in the right direction.
Yep. And so I think for DIYers and I've said this on my channel before, establish a relationship with them. Like send them an email, say, hey, my name's Devin. I'm in Western North Carolina and I've got a turf type 12 fescue lawn. And, who do I reach out to if I ever had a question? And, they're people too. And they love meeting people. And so I know in the beginning I was really intimidated by reaching out to somebody there, but they're nice people too, and they just want to help us, and they love a problem to solve too, right?
Yeah, that's right. And you never know, you might give them a problem they've never seen before, and that's
That's
always a
true.
good thing too.
And also, like, I know NC State, for example, and I can't speak for, I know there's like Purdue, Ohio State, but NC State, you can sign up for their email lists and they'll
Hmm.
email you different newsletters throughout the month saying, hey, watch out for army worms, or hey, this is the fungus that you need to watch out for this year, or drought conditions or whatever. And usually it's really, really good information, probably a lot more detail than what we need, but
Hmm.
you take it and it's usually good information.
Yep, I agree.
So we were, what I wanted to go back to earlier, we were talking about faith, and I had a brain fart there. But again, I know your faith is extremely important to you. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you was, so the word fear is in the Bible 365 times,
Hmm.
which I think is very ironic because there's 365 days in a year.
Hmm.
So tell me about a time when Pete was afraid and your faith helped you overcome that fear.
Well, definitely with my son. My youngest son's a special needs child and was born with a lot of jacked up body issues, and that was, I
Is that
come.
why his name's Jax?
No, no, we got that off. We got that name off the internet.
Oh, okay. I
cool,
thought
cool
his
baby.
name's Jax because he's jacked up.
No,
Okay.
coolbabynames.com or something.
Okay.
Different, and unique. And it's
Yeah.
spelled with two X's.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I come from a pretty large country farm family, and nobody's ever had any issues health wise ever. Everybody's healthy as an ox, and here he comes along, and he's just all different when it comes to that. And so there was a lot of being afraid because you don't know what tomorrow holds with him, and
Having a child is scary enough, right?
oh yeah,
And then a child that isn't that could potentially have complications or make things even more difficult is even scarier. I can't imagine.
absolutely. And then when we started with the first visits and things like that, nobody around here would mess with him. We had to go to Philadelphia to like a specialist, and they told us it was possible he wouldn't walk. So I mean, I'm a pretty athletic dude, and my brothers are athletic. My other two kids are very athletic. The first thing that goes in my mind is like, dang, he ain't gonna be able to play basketball. So that all that stuff is a fear, and of course, God proved me wrong again,
As
and
he always does.
always does.
Yep.
And lean on me and trust in my own understanding, and He'll direct your paths. And boy, if He ain't directed our paths with Jax since day one. And now I put up clips of him hitting golf balls and running around the
Yep.
golf course. So you
Yep.
know, so that
See, and
fear.
you said he would never get to play, right?
I said might not ever walk. Is what they told
Mm-hmm.
us. And of course, God proved that wrong too. So um, that hands down the biggest moment in my life where fear was a thing, and we prayed and trusted God right through it all, and He was faithful. And I got a 13-year-old in there that plays golf with me all the time now.
So, what's your message to somebody who maybe is dealing with something in their life right now and they're afraid? Like, what's your message to them?
Hands down, trust God with it. If you're living a life that honors Him, and you are solely putting your faith that He is in fact Creator, and He is in fact in charge and control of every aspect of your life, you just have to trust Him. And although His plan is a lot of times different than your plan or my plan,
Yep.
you just have to trust it, and let Him have His will and His way in your life, and He'll work it out for the good of you.
That's what God works everything for the good. Absolutely. Yep. Yep. So I was going to save this to the end, but I'm part of the YouTube program where they pay you based on your views and that sort of thing. And so what I wanted to offer to you, Pete, is any of the money that I make off of this video throughout the entire year, I want to donate back to a charitable organization, whether it's your foundation or another foundation, just as a way to say thank you, because you bless me, and it's my job as a Christian to pass that on. And so I feel like that's the least that I could do. So for Jax, I love watching him play golf. He is an awesome dude. He is he gives me inspiration. And so what I want to do as a way to say thank you to you and to Jax for being just an awesome kid is any money that I make off of this video, I will, pass that forward to whatever. And we can talk, after the fact or whatever, just about how we work all that out. But I thought that's the least that I want to do for you and for him, and maybe help somebody else. Cause I know that's why you started the foundation. And is that foundation still active, right? Like it's still.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you never even consider yourself being in a position like that, but God took this terrible situation and allowed us to start a foundation, and now we take money and go help families that have kids just like Jack's.
Yep.
Because, like I said, financially, he has supplied everything for us since day one, without a question, and I don't see that changing ever. And so we wanted to do that in return, as a way to give him praise and go help these other families. And it is absolutely, it will just melt you if you walk in a hotel room or a hospital room and get to hand a family a check for $5,000, $3,000, $8,000, whatever it is, and say, hey, you don't owe us nothing in return. This is you. We're giving it to you in Jesus' name, and we want you to take care of your child. Yeah. And that is just, I just never thought I'd be in a position like that to do that. And it's been the foundation's been absolutely fantastic.
Well, I want to do my very, very small part to pay it forward to, as a way to just say thank you. So I really do appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate that. And I'm speaking for parents in the future when we go hand them up that check and that money. Yeah. I'm sure they'll be grateful as well.
Yeah. So to kind of switch gears here, Pete. So we have, so you're actually the second guest on my podcast. I don't know. Do you know Mr. Ferguson with Mr. Ferguson Lawns? I think you played golf with him.
Golf with him not too long ago.
Yeah. So he was the very first guest on the podcast.
Great
he
guy.
Said he is an awesome dude. You talk about salt of the earth and just as genuine as they come. Awesome dude. So he was the first, but you're going to be the first, because I am starting, I guess I call it a game show. It's called This or That. And it's just kind of fun. It's lighthearted. And so I was hoping you'd want to play with me. It's really quick. I'm just going to ask you some questions. So are you down for playing the game This or That?
Roll with it.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to a little game we call This or That, a segment where guests answer rapid-fire questions quickly so we get to know you a little better. Answer quickly and try not to think too much. Just answer this or that.
All right, Pete. I'm going to take it easy on you for the first couple, but then we're going to get pretty serious with it, okay? Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, so the first This or That question is Ford or Chevy?
Ford.
Okay. The second question is, and for those of you that are not in our area, we have two big chicken and biscuit restaurants here in North Carolina. So, Pete, Bojangles or Biscuitville?
Biscuitville.
Okay. Cheerwine or Sundrop?
Sundrop.
Yeah, I knew the answer to that one. But for those of you that don't know, Sundrop, I don't think Sundrop, you can get that outside of North Carolina. I know Cheerwine, I don't think you can get outside of North Carolina. So
you can get Sundrop in Philadelphia at Target.
Okay. How do you know that?
I know that for a fact.
How random is that? Like, how does that happen? That's strange.
Knocked me in the floor, man. I was walking through the drink aisle. I was like, "Hey, look, it's a Sundrop."
Right. So, took a double take, right? And so Cheerwine is I guess cherry flavored soda or pop if
Yeah,
you're from
kind of
up north.
citrusy, tangy kind of thing. I
Yeah.
ain't never been a big cheerwine fan, but I'll tell. Well, I haven't been a Sun Drop fan for a long time. I haven't had a Sun Drop in over a year
That's
because I got
probably for the better. I
yeah
mean, they're not good for
I got
you,
some
but
bad health things at the doctor visit like a year ago, and I quit cold turkey, and I've been drinking water ever since.
oh, that's probably for the better. We should probably all, but Sundrop is good.
Sun
I will
Drop,
give you that. It's way better than Mountain Dew. For those of you that have ever, like, oh, it's just like Mountain Dew. No, it's not the same.
that's right.
All right, liquid fertilizer or granular fertilizer?
Mm, no comment. I don't know how to answer that one.
Got to pick one.
Um, if I had to pick one,
Yeah.
liquid.
Okay. I would too. A clean car or a fresh cut lawn?
Oh wow, that's very difficult because I love it when my truck is clean. Oh, I'm gonna go with the yard, the clean cut yard,
Wow.
because I'll wash my truck the next day.
I was gonna say you got a Mustang too. That I bet's really
Yeah,
jealous right now.
I love keeping them clean. So that's a very difficult question.
I know. I told you I was gonna take it easy on you in the beginning and not so easy in the back end. All right. So a day spent in the lawn or a day spent on the golf course.
Golf course,
Awesome. Tim McGraw or Morgan Wallen?
neither.
Neither. So who do you don't?
Mercy Me, Casting Crowns, Brandon.
So you
Lake.
don't listen to country music?
Every once in a blue moon,
Yeah.
I listen to a little bit of it, but
Okay.
I usually listen to like praise and work, contemporary praise and worship
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Awesome. All right. So supper's over and you saved a little bit of room, a little extra room for something. Are you going to go back for an extra piece of steak or are you going to go get some dessert?
Strawberry
Like
shortcake
a strawberry shortcake.
in
Awesome.
a minute.
All right. All right. And the last question is, and I need you to set the record straight. Is it
Oh, yeah.
mow, edge, and then blow? Or is it edge, mow, then blow? What is the definitive right order to do it?
Weed eat mow edge.
Weed eat, mow, and then edge.
Yeah, so
And
weed
then
eat
blow.
would be trimming.
And then blow to clean everything up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So weed eat to knock all the grass around your natural areas, that sort of thing.
And edge beds.
And then your edge of beds.
String trimmer with that. And then mow. Because when you cut the edge on the bed, if they're thick edges, it'll leave that little bit of grass laying right in your mulch. But then you take the mower deck and go around and suck that up and throw it in the grass and get rid of it. And then if you mow along your hard surface edges first, it stands that turf up a little bit and cuts it a little bit clean. So when you edge, you don't cut as much off. So there's less work blowing.
There you go. There you go.
If you do that over 100 times a week in a business, that actually makes a little bit of a difference.
Okay, so should you edge every time you mow? Like,
No, during the growing season, if fescue's hot and heavy, April, May, June, we'll edge beds every other week, twice a month or every other week, and we'll stick edge weekly. But then
Really?
as we get
Okay.
into the hot months, we really back off the stick edging because the concrete or asphalt gets hotter, and the dirt beside the concrete asphalt gets hotter. So we want to limit how many times we cut that edge.
Yep.
Of course, if
Okay.
it's raining a lot versus irrigated, then that doesn't matter.
See, go back to there's no hard and fast rule, right? Like it's just
Yep,
yep. There's not always a right answer when it comes to lawn care.
that's right.
All right.
You
Well,
left out the most important question though.
what's that?
Tar Heels or Duke?
I ain't got there yet.
All right, well, I'll be patient then.
I know the answer to this.
That's right. You better know.
Go ahead and well,
Tar Heels, baby.
talk
Go
about the
Heels
Tar Heels.
all the way.
Talk about them for just a second. Talk about them.
They stink this year.
That's right.
They're really not putting on a good show. my cousin played basketball for Carolina under Dean Smith, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, my dad was a Tar Heel growing up, and so I naturally grew up watching Tar Heel basketball and Dean Smith and MJ and all those guys, James Worthy and all those dudes, and then I was in high school when my cousin was playing for Dean Smith in Chapel Hill. So uh, we went
And
to
that's prime
fun,
time Carolina right there. Yeah.
and that really set fire under me as far as becoming a real Tar Heel. And ever since then, we've just been dialed in. Anytime basketball, I don't care anything about football or baseball, uh, college wise. So, when Carolina basketball's on, we try to be there.
Do you get to go to the games?
Uh, we go on occasion here and there. I did have a neighbor that was worked in Chapel Hill several years ago. I think this was about 4 or 5 years ago, and she had the opportunity to get season tickets. So she and I split the cost and got the season tickets.
Yep.
They were big Virginia Tech fans, so they went to the Virginia Tech game. So I got to go to the Duke game, the Duke Carolina game
In Carolina?
in Chapel Hill, and oh man,
That's a bucket list for me, baby.
I'll never forget that. And we
Bucket
beat the
list.
brakes off of them too that night.
We ain't got to mention that. So if you don't know, I am a Duke fan. And I'll tell you, so my son is a huge Carolina fan. It makes me
Good for him.
sick.
You were
I'm telling
raised
you.
him right.
I can't. Yeah, that's right. And actually, to be honest, it's part of the reason why I am a Duke fan. As I mentioned, I went to culinary school. We were, culinary schools, they don't have football or basketball teams. So I get to pick my sports team. So I have a really eclectic sports team following. And so he liked Carolina. And so I thought, you know what, I'll start pulling for Duke just to make things fun. And it's, man, when they play, our house is rocking. It is
Bouncing
awesome.
off the foundation. And
It is.
back in the day, it used to be State in Carolina was the big rivalry, and Duke wasn't even in the picture. And then I guess when Coach K come along and Duke started getting a lot better, and State kind of plummeted.
State wants to be relevant, right? So
They try to be relevant, but they're not relevant when it comes to Tar Heel Blue. So
there is actually, I don't know if you know this, well, there's a kid from Hickory High School, John Holbrook, who is a freshman at Duke, or at Carolina, I'm sorry. And so part of me pulls for Carolina just for John because I want to see him do well. But he's probably a couple of years away. But he was a standout center here at Hickory High School, and he was amazing. And he's a great kid, great family. So I was happy to see him go to Carolina because that'll be really good for him. And as much trash as I talk about Carolina, it's a great school. Great, it really is. So,
yeah,
but that's enough about Carolina.
Go to schools and get a free education. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
But yeah, I hip and holler about Carolina basketball. But at the end of the day, it's just a game, and it's just all fun. And I got Duke fans that I give a hard time, and they give me a hard time. And it's just
That's right.
It's just it's kind of like a Ford Chevy thing. It's just one or the other way. You just kind of give somebody a hard time with it and root for your team.
Ford, Chevy, was it? And then like Dodge is like the NC State of trucks, right?
Dodge is irrelevant.
We are going to piss some people off, I'm afraid.
I'm a Ford diehard guy, and I'm a diehard Tar Heel.
Every single NC State Dodge driving person's going to unsubscribe from both of our channels, unfortunately. But you know what?
I got some Wolfpack fans I think like me though.
Well, they come around a couple of times, and then
I'll pull for State before I pull for Duke. I'll never pull for Duke. I just won't be there.
That's okay. That's all right.
And for those that are watching that don't understand what we're talking about, in our area, you got Duke, State, Wake Forest, and Carolina Tar Heels, all within like an hour of each other.
Yep.
And it's just a major college basketball state, and it's kind of like Auburn and Alabama down that way in football.
Yep.
It's just It's just what we do.
Yep. And it's about to get real serious here in about a month or two. Yep,
That's
for
right.
sure.
That's right.
Yep. So, do you have a prediction for your Tar Heels? Where are they going to make the tournament? Or
We're gonna win the NCAA, baby. Take it all the way.
Well, they didn't say that Tar Heel fans were the smartest people, did they? So,
The way they're playing, I'll agree with it.
all right, man. So, what, like, just to kind of wrap this up, this has been awesome. And Pete, I really appreciate your time. Um, you talk about, so I'll tell you a quick story. So when I started this channel, I prayed to God to kind of guide me, to lead me, let His will be whatever it is. And I never thought in a million years that I'd be sitting and having a conversation with you, recording. I mean, if you would have told me, Devin, you're going to have a podcast and you're going to get Pete with GCI Turf on, and I would have said, you're frippin' crazy. But that's how God works, right? He takes the crazy, the wildest thing that you would ever think you'd do, and He makes it a reality. So I am so thankful for you to come on and give me some of your time. It's such a blessing. So thank you so much.
Anytime, man. And just say, remember, I'm just another dude like you, man. I get it, the whole YouTube star, blah 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 stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm just a dude like you, man, trying to provide for his family. And I got lucky on YouTube and got a bunch of people that watch me, and um, I'm here. I'm here to help people see the light of Jesus, because that's what this is all about. I mean, your grass is green, that's awesome. Your car's clean, the Tar Heels win, all that's cool. But man, at the end of the day, you have a decision to make, a choice in life. Do you believe that Jesus Christ is who He said He was, or do you not believe that? And when you die, that's the only thing that's going to matter. Period. You can't take your grass with you. You can't take the TV with you and watch Carolina. You can't take your car with you. All that's gone. The grass is going to wither and the flowers going to fade. And the only thing that's going to be left is your relationship with Jesus. Do you have one or not? Period.
Store up not treasure on this earth, but yet in heaven. So,
Yep, that's right.
Yep. So what's next for you? Like what's 2025 going to look like for you? Like what's on your horizon for this
My
year?
ball field work is going berserk right now. I'm in the middle.
Why
of
can you why is that? Like what is there just you're filling a need?
I think it's a twofold thing. I think one, I'm feeling a need. There's nobody in my area that has the equipment I have that allows you to do that type of work, that niche type of work. And number two, I am highly peculiar, and it has to be mint. I won't leave it until it's mint, and it looks as close to Fenway Park as I can get it. And I think you put them two things, the combination, and I'm a solo guy when it comes to ballpark. I got 13 employees, but none of my employees go to my ball field jobs with me. Not that I don't trust them, I do, but it's something I have a passion for. I like the transformation on a ball field, and I want my name on that field. And when you put all that and swirl it up in a bucket and pour it out, I think that's why it's going so good. It's because of those reasons.
Okay. So your ball field stuff is really taking off.
And that's another reason I really can't make as many videos as I have in the past. Is just because I'm in the field working so much, and
Yep.
I could film all the ball field jobs, but who in the world wants to watch 10 ball field jobs back to back to back to
You'd
back?
be surprised. I see the views you get on those ball field videos. Somebody's watching them for sure.
That, and I got the 20-gallon. I've been putting together like a skid sprayer. And for those people who don't know what a skid sprayer is, it's like a tank and a hose reel and a pump mounted on a flat frame that you would either put up in the back of your truck. The 20-gallon will probably be small enough to put in like a what are those things called? A UTV, like a John Deere Gator. It can slide up in the back of that. I got a 20 gallon and a 50 gallon that are just about ready. I'm supposed to pick up the 50 gallon prototype is finished and in the books, and the 20 gallon I'm supposed to pick it up into this week. So I think those would be my last two sprayers I come out with, because I've pretty much got a sprayer for every situation, other than those two. And I got one other sprayer that I'm really thinking about. It's maybe a yes or no. I'm not sure, because it's going to be kind of expensive to build it, and I don't know that many people would buy it. So I don't know if I'm going to do that one. And then my 2808 is a new granular. Uh, they start, I got the 3000, and then the 2808 they're registering it now. So, a month or so, 2 months, maybe right about springtime, it ought to be ready. And it'll be SOP and some biochar, and it'll be urea.
SOP is sulfate of potash.
Sulfate of potash, yeah.
Okay.
And then the nitrogen is like 50% urea and 50% sulfur coated urea. So it'll be a good slow release kind of option for folks that want to use that, like maybe during the summer, or as a winter fert or whatever. And then what else I got going on? I'm not really, people could say starter fertilizer, and my definition of a starter fertilizer is probably different than the internet. The internet will call a starter fertilizer something with high phosphorus, because they're typically going to put it down with grass seed. Well, I call a starter fertilizer anything you put down with grass seed. No matter what the numbers on the bag is, because it's
People get caught up in that.
Yeah, it's helping to start the growth or start the life of that plant. And so, my starter is going to be more like I think it's going to end up being like a 12, 4, 6 or a 12, 2, 4 or something like that. Because I don't like a ton of nitrogen going down when I'm planting.
The grass going to come up anyway.
Yeah, but I do want some there to encourage it to get going a little bit quicker than it would naturally. And, typically you don't need a buttload of phosphorus when grass seeds. It only takes a little bit of that. And so, I'm kind of making a low-key type of starter fertilizer. Matter of fact, we run a whole truckload of analysis this past fall that was very, very similar to that. And man, we just got fantastic results from it. So I'm excited about that too. And that'll probably be the end of my granular fertilizers, those three, because you don't need 10 different granulars to grow grass. I mean, you only need nitrogen and a few other elements once in a blue moon, and you can have a great yard.
You have so the first time I met you, I came in to your shop and I was picking up one what it's not called Caltite anymore, right? The 101. It's not called that anymore.
No,
I guess
it's
it's just
a calcium, a liquid calcium. Yeah.
So I was getting 101. I was buying 505, and you had stopped me and you said, "Well, why don't you just buy the 2000 and the 0020?"
Yep.
And I was like, "Well, that's a heck of an idea." So, talk about for a second, if you can, like, how do I take a 20020 and an 0020 and make it a 505?
The reason, and I still ain't made a dang video on that.
You said you were, so that's kind of, I was hoping, I've been waiting.
But the reason that the 505 was a huge hit, people love that stuff. And I just come up with the idea to make a 2000 and a 0020 and make an iron by itself and make a calcium by itself. Those are the four nutrients that are in the 505. But I set the numbers of the analysis so you could do easy math, and so you could buy that for the nitrogen, calcium, potassium, and iron, and you can make your own 505, and you can make your own 606 or your own 404 or your own 503. The analyses are endless, which you can make with that. And all four of those products, you can. I don't recommend doing this, but because it's just not textbook. But they're formulated in such a way that you can mix them in concentrate, the four different ones, and there ain't a lot of liquids that you can do that with, and it'll gel up on you, get gunky on you, and all that. But you can do it with mine. That was a number one priority, just for mixing reasons for the homeowner, so they wouldn't ever have any problems with gelling and getting clogged up in filters and stuff like that. And you basically just do the math. And matter of fact, I got a spreadsheet that I need to screenshot it and put it on the website that shows the math. And you put this many ounces of the 2000 and this many ounces of the 0020, this many ounces of calcium, this many, and you got your own 505, and it's identical to the 505 that we used to have.
And if you want to raise the nitrogen or you need to cut back on the nitrogen,
You
you
need a
can
little
do all
more
that.
nitrogen. You can add a few more ounces. If you want to cut back, take a little bit off. If you're mowing too much, take a little bit out. It's completely customizable. And I think if I ever get a chance to make that video and explain it, then
Well, I hope you do, and I know that I know there are people just like me who are waiting for it, because it'd be an awesome video for you to make. And I want to also plug another sneaky good product that you have, and that's the O2YS. To me, that is a game changer. Like I don't know the why behind how it all works. I know it works. But when I use that O2YS for my fungicides, and anytime I make a liquid fertilizer application, it just, I don't know, man, it just works. But
well, the reason we use it in our business is, we spent an absurd amount of money on fungicides. I mean, a bunch of money. And when I first hooked up with them 10 years ago, or 8, 7 years, whatever it was, he kind of put me to the test and said, cut your fungicide rate in half and you still get the same 28-day control. So I tested that with a handful of select yards, and dang if we didn't.
Yeah.
And we got the same length of control as using a full rate of fungicide, and now we use a half rate. And I've even been pushing it further and further, and now when we get into round 3 and 4 fungicide, I mean, I'm down to like 8 ounces of azoxystrobin, and I'm getting 28 days of control with 8 ounces.
8 ounces per acre, or per, like 8 ounces of what?
Yeah, that's an acre.
Yeah.
And where the normal rate is 16.
Yeah.
Actually, excuse me, I'd have to get a label in front of me, but I think the high rate is 32, so a half rate would be 16 per acre.
And you're at 8, so you're
We're down
quarter.
to 8 ounces per acre, and getting
Yeah.
the same level of, and these are full irrigated yards, pumping water to it, and of course we got the humidity to go along with it. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
it's something to be said about that. I mean, it saves me a buttload of money during the summer.
And okay, so the money savings is one aspect, but even just having it in the plant, I don't know if it like stays in the plant, but my lawn has never made it through a summer until I started using O2YS, adding it in. We talk about like transpo evaporation.
Yeah, well, that's the plant holding and releasing water. And I don't know if there's any scientific data behind it or whatever, but their claim is that it helps.
My eyes, I could see that it's working. So
that the plant retains more water through the lack of transpiration, And we've seen that in non-irrigated yards left and right here. So,
yep, sneaky good product, I recommend anybody who has not ever used it to give it a try for sure.
Yep,
so
it's a good product for sure.
Yep, it's definitely changed. It was a game changer for me. So, thank you so much, Pete. I really appreciate you coming on. You're an awesome guy, and I really appreciate your time. And I was floored when you said you were going to do this, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, I'm as excited to get on here as you are, man. So,
well, awesome.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. All right. Again, a special thank you to Pete for taking time and coming on the podcast. If you're not subscribed to Pete over at GCI Turf, I'll leave a link down below where you can do that. I highly encourage you to do that. He does a lot on the professional side with his business, and he's, as he mentioned, he's really getting into some of that ball field stuff. But he does stop for a minute, and he'll offer some tips. Follow him on social media as well, Instagram. He does post a lot of stuff over there too. So make sure you follow that. I'll leave links in the body. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll leave links down there where you can go check that out. But I hope you guys have a wonderful week. They're actually calling for snow here. We're supposed to get between 1 and 3 inches. So I'm going to kick back, relax, enjoy the snow, and I will see you guys next week. And before I go, I've got a little something special just for Pete. How's that look, Pete? I'll see you guys next week. Peace.